All right, today might be really cool because I'm gonna try and give you some data about some of the best mountain bike brakes available. And what I'm gonna do is measure the braking force by your hand required to actuate these levers. I'm also gonna measure the distance between the pivot point and the inflection point where they want you to press the lever. And I'm going to measure two things: the force required to get the lever started and the force required to get it down to the contact point. And how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to put a weight on the lever with a little stopper here to get it to the ideal spot. And I'm going to fill it up with water. And at the point where it moves, I measure the weight and also measure the weight when it gets to the pad. So pretty basic test. I wanted to do it with a scale, but really inconsistent. This is more consistent, and the lever is not gonna hit the wires or anything. So it's just gonna be that distance. I'm gonna do the front brakes, and I'm going to align each brake completely vertical, and try to get the levers in the same position as much as possible. All right. So let us start with the SRAM code ultimates, and so here I already have some weight and some water just to get it started. Get it to that point, and then this is my water action. So I'm going to fill it while watching the lever. So right there, movement. So I got the brake past the braking point, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weigh this. I'm going to record this with my GoPro. I'm not sure if it's visible with this gnarly sun, and zero it out. I'm going to do this in grams, and the weight in grams is 683 to get it started, to get it going. Okay, and notice it just moves a little bit, but it doesn't quite get to that point. I'm also going to, well, let's do this first. I'm going to measure that cable distance or the lever distance. So if it gets within 1 millimeter of the contact point, I'll stop there. Right there, lever's moving, and I've made these things horizontal. So that's the contact point. And you can see it's quite consistent, it's quite repeatable. Okay, within 1 millimeter. The weight on this bad boy, 940 grams. And these are all fairly new brakes. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the pivot point to the point of inflection on the lever, and that's the point where I'm measuring, and that distance on the SRAM Ultimate is 66 millimeters. Okay, so I have about 10 brakes, so this might take a while, but I'm gonna do some fancy editing. All right, thank you. All right, the next brake is the most interesting one, the SRAM Mavens. Boom. Okay, interesting. So it did take quite a bit, and I can test my work. So right there, boom, it moves, and it goes all the way to the contact point. So the distance should be the same as the SRAM codes, is 66 millimeters, and the weight 725 grams. Okay, that's fair, as expected. Okay, the next brake I have is the TRP DHR Evo. It's so light action, I have to empty this thing. Make sure there's nothing in it, my measuring gauge. So about 3 mil of movement, and I'll measure the weight. It's pretty light action, 273. It basically gets going, and then to get it down to contact point, right there, and then a little more movement, 503 grams. All right, the next one in line is the Hayes Dominion A4, and it should be identical to the Hayes Dominion A2. Okay, definitely movement. So we'll weigh this thing. 176 grams of breakaway force. And then let's measure to the point of contact. So right here we're within a millimeter of the stop point, and the weight is 319 grams. So is that a record? All right, now we have the Magura MT7, and I'm gonna mix it up a little bit by measuring the pivot point distance first, because that is a little curious. 84 millimeters. I always thought the levers were short. This is pretty cool. Seems like a very powerful spring. So I got 2-3 mil of movement. 541 is the breakaway. All right, the weight is over 672 for full actuation on the Magura. Okay, next one is the Shimano XTR lever. Boom. Oh. So when it goes, so the two numbers are the same, the breakaway and the contact point. Okay, so you can tell right there. Boom. That's funny. 877. Okay, for my next trick, we have the SRAM DB8. This is their new low-cost mineral oil brake. 342 grams. Yeah, so it's within a mil, and the weight is 564 grams. Not bad. All right, we are almost done here. We have the Shimano XT, the newest one, the dark colored lever. Okay, this one seems to also have a little bit of initial resistance, and then it goes. Seems a little lighter action than my XTR. Boom. Okay, so the weight is 629 grams. All right, last one, I have the Tektro E350, and we have a single piston hydraulic brake right here. So the first thing I'll do is I'll measure the distance, because it looks pretty long. 83 millimeters. Gets it about 5 mil. And the Tektro 397 to get it started. Yeah, that's within a mil. To get to the breaking point, 500 grams. Okay, the weight for the SRAM codes is 578. Right there. 578. So there you go. Hope we find that useful, but leave me in the suggestions what else you'd like to see, because I have a lot of brakes here. The ultimate measure is how much torque, how much force does it actually put on the caliper, and how much lever is needed to do that. And that you need a dyno, a brake dyno for that, and that's usually on a curve. I have some that are given by the manufacturers, but this at least is a little more duplicatable. It's a little easier for someone like me to measure, and you guys might find some information, some useful information in it. All right, so again, E-MTB review. If you want any of these brakes, please click on the links in the description. It will help my channel out. And if you have any suggestions on further tests on this battery of brakes, just let me know. Thank you.